Okay, so that was a quick makeup pull together story, wasn't it? Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Married to Medicine. This is season 10, the reunion. This is part 2 of the reunion. Okay, so my last video for the first part, we went really deep and we had a time. What a time was had. And got some stuff off my chest, shared some things that I had to share. It was very interesting. It was a very interesting time. We come back in and we see where the mastery of television and editing. Okay, because when we left off, very bothered. I was very bothered about how cold that Dr. Jackie was coming across and this kind of thing. And then we see the mastery of editing and how Jackie softened up in that conversation, and that conversation didn't end the way that the show ended. That was literally just the beginning of their conversation. And in true reality show Bravo fashion, we got to the yes, I accept your apology, and yes, we're going to be good, let's move forward. They went on into the lunch. Jackie basically, like I said, hugged her, and Quad hugged it out and said, we're going to try to do better moving forward. Quad then goes during the lunch break and she goes in and she makes things good with Simone as well. And it was very quick and very easy. And I'm sure it was spliced, of how much we only seen a little piece of the conversation. But again, over lunch, things between Quad, Simone, and Jackie have been pretty much mended. Pretty much mended. How do I feel about that? One thing about Married to Medicine, you all's makeups are at this point more of a joke than like Housewives of Potomac and Atlanta, because it's kind of like they make up at the reunions and then they're back fighting. So I don't know. I hope that y'all are good, but something in my spirit really says that when they walk off the set, they probably won't talk to each other for months and months, and they'll be pretty much back where they started, because this is how things kind of have gone. Like the whole thing with Quan, we don't see her, we don't hear from her, this, that, thing, and the other. And then at the reunions, they make up and she says, yeah, I did wrong. I know. Oh, yeah, I love y'all. We love you too. And then they don't speak to each other for months, and then we're right back where we started. So this time, I think things have actually gotten out of hand. I think things got out of hand and some real feelings got to the screen and to the inner. It was more of what has gone on in real time is where I think the things got out of hand here. But I don't know. We just got to walk it and see what it really is going to be. One thing that I did not bring up in that last video, because there was so much else that I was talking about that I noticed, and where I felt like the beef is really real and the disrespect and the lines that had been crossed were really real, is the portion where Simone and Quad were talking to Andy. And it was more Simone. And Quad basically begged Simone to go the other direction when she was bringing up the pool incident with her niece. And how that felt so cold to me with how terrible that situation is. And I'm not going into the details, but how terrible the situation was when Simone was approaching it. Quad was saying, Simone. So, but she was literally like begging her, like, let's not, like, let's just not, like, let's just, I don't know, veer off somewhere. Just don't. And she kind of shrugged it and just kept going. That's when I was like, yeah, this is like mean spirit. This is like we done jumped the fence to some old nasty shit here, you know. And she just drove that point home. I didn't mention it in the last video, but even after when I turned the camera off, I was like, shit, I didn't mention that. And that was bothersome. That was bothersome because, you know, some things are just so deep that you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna let that go. But she drove that point right on in there. I said, oh gosh, okay. But we've heard that before, that Simone is the mule, if you will, with driving a point that nobody really wants to drive. We've heard that through the grapevine that, you know, Simone is the one that will do the producer dirty work, if you will. So that kind of came across that way. That was kind of ugly, but all right. Anyway, but they're past it. So if they're past it, then that means we got to move past it. Ain't no need to harp on it. Anyway, so what's next? Quad and Sweet Tea, honey. That's what's next. And when Quad and Sweet Tea get to going back and forth about this Gregory situation, and this Quad talking smack on Sweet Tea and all of this other little stuff, Andy was sitting there when they got to going back and forth, and Andy grabbed that, he leaned up and grabbed that piece of chocolate off of that table, and that messy queen, that messy queen. I said, Andy, you are one messy ass queen. But they were, I mean, it was like being on the playground, you know, and I'm like, oh my God. And there was the whole conversation about, they were on Watch What Happens Live, and they flashed it, Bravo, Bravo Andy, gonna give you a flashback. And it was really Heavenly who said it, that Sweet Tea is the one that they nominate to do like fake designers. And here it was where Heavenly said about the parking lot designers and the African man selling the knockoff designer stuff outside the mall. And I'm like, Heavenly has truly played the bad guy. Like, Heavenly, anybody watching this season who didn't know Heaven previously would be a fool to make friends with Heavenly. Like, and expect an upfront friend. You come across this season, oh my God, Heavenly, with the when I say a backstabbing spirit, oh my God, a complete backstabbing spirit. And we're going to talk about something else while we're in this that has hit me lately with the show, and you all could tell me what you think. But yeah, Heavenly actually said it. Quad just like, the two, it was very evident that, like Sweet Tea said, she didn't lie on you all. You all were talking about her. Y'all talked about her, but Sweet Tea, why would you think that they wouldn't talk about? You are a thirst bucket for all intents and purposes. He is your ex. He's her ex. And you, girl, I mean, y'all, what you thought, you and Quan was going to be best of friends? You were foolish enough to think that you and Heavenly were going to be best of friends. You watched the show. You watched, you plotted, and you planned. You already knew there was a connection between Quad and Heavenly. You went and jumped in her ex-husband's bed, and then you tried to jump into the car with her good friend to be your good Judy. What did you think you were going to get? But again, delusion is a lot of different things for a lot of different people. So that is what that is. Then they went back and forth. Heavenly's basically saying to Sweet Tea, you the one that said something about buying the parking lot designer stuff, and then they're going back and forth. I didn't say that. That's not true. And they're like, yes, you did. You did say it. I'm like, I believe you said it. I do believe you said that, but the nerve of Heavenly to bring it to Quad, because everybody knows the Quad would just literally burn it to memory, and whenever she needed it, she would use it. Like, that's stupid. But I believe you said it because you are very upfront with that. There's things with Sweet Tea, baby, you don't even know when to be embarrassed about certain things. Like, I don't think that until you start being around this group of ladies that you even thought that buying knockoff designers was a big thing. It's like, it is what it is. Like, if we look at the first episodes, we seen that stuff you was wearing, girl. We're playing. Anyway, it is what it is. But they were going back and forth, and her and Quad's presence does irritate her. And later on in the program, when Andy brought the men on, you could see why. You can see why. Because that foundation ain't solid. That foundation ain't solid. Baby, Quad Webb makes Dr. G nervous. When I said, child, old Dr. G's good, I'm nervous and I'm trembling. Lord, Quad just came in. She makes him nervous. And in turn, that makes Sweet Tea uneasy. And it should, because again, ex-wife, thirst bucket. And I'm sorry, but that's how I view Sweet Tea. It is what it is. I mean, you went after what it is that you wanted, but the optics of it was just so cheap. It was so cheap. It's like you didn't just by chance meet Dr. Gregory. You went after another woman's, like we said, you went after her leftovers. You went after her leftovers. You'll never win an argument with Quad. It's never going to happen. Anytime you and Quad get into a back and forth, Sweet Tea, you're always going to be at the bottom of the argument just because of the optics and the facts and how things went down. You're picking at her leftovers. You're picking at a love that she already walked over, honey. He's her leftovers. And when Quad said to her, you'll never erase what I had with him. You'll never erase me. And she's like, well, why bring it up? Because he is her ex. He is her ex, and it's not her ex-boyfriend. He's her ex-husband. At any time she feels like it, she can always bring up whatever she wants. And the thing is, they shared something. And at some point, Quad will have to not be petty and not bring it up anymore. But that's after she gets done playing with her meal. And for right now, you're her meal. When she gets done swatting you around like a ball of yarn, then she'll stop bringing it up. But until then, there's really nothing you can do about a Sweet Tea because it's being done because she knows it irritates you. Because you're screaming, he's my man. He's my man. He's my man. And Quad's over there like, is he? Is he really? And then your husband's behavior is given, am I? Girl, you got yourself in a bind. But it's a bind that you created. You wanted her life. There's no other way for us to chalk it up. You literally set out to have her life. All the way down to her job. Did you not? Everything in your life is Quad Webb's leftover. The house, the man, the job, the set of friends. It's all a freaking joke. Like, that couldn't be my life. That couldn't be my life. Me personally, I think too much of myself to step into somebody else's shoes like that. I like my own shoes. I don't want to strap nobody's pumps around my ankle. My own fresh heels. I don't want nobody's old throwaways. And in this case, old throwaway would be Dr. G, unfortunately. Love you dearly, Dr. G, but it is what it is. You are the leftovers, my dear. But anyway, so that whole thing went down, and Andy was eating candy. I said, Andy's so shady. Moving on. Now, Heavenly. Well, I say you play the bad guy here. And this is the thing, you all. I don't know. See, this is where I was saying how it becomes, it's different. Like the show is different. I think we're too much behind the curtain. We're too much behind the curtain. We're too much on the side of the camera, peeking. We're too much there, and people speaking so freely. And I think a lot of this does have to do with the fact that now Heavenly and them, Heavenly Candy, and a couple others are in our world now, and they're down here doing the exact same thing that I did, you know. And you're dishing tea, and it does literally take away from the show. I mean, it makes for us as YouTubers, because when it comes to YouTube, I am a YouTuber. Okay, I am a content creator, but I am just as much, I'm a fan. I am a YouTube kid. I enjoy watching as much as I enjoy creating. Okay, so I don't watch. See, there's levels to this shit. I don't watch other content creators in order to steal their content or in order to see what they're doing. See, I got my lane. I do what it is that I do. I am 100% SpillitBoyTV, period. And that is what I built. That's the persona, and I do things how I do it. But I literally am a fan of the game. I'm a fan of the game. I still watch the people that I watched when I first started this, before I started making videos, and I enjoy it. I enjoy watching. I enjoy being a fan. I enjoy being a watcher. I'm a fan of the game the whole way around. The whole way around. So when I hear Heavenly say things, because she'll say it on the show and off the show, like, I'm a big fan of the show. And now I noticed in this, Toya made a comment. I'm a fan of the show. Yes, it's this, that, and the other. And it basically was like they're saying it without saying it. Like, I will foster beef. I will foster a storyline to keep this thing going. See, that's that place where reality TV, when people used to accuse reality TV of being trash, you just solidified it. We go out of our way to make certain that this bullshit keeps on going. So it kind of, it dusts the surface a little bit. It dusts the surface. And I don't know, y'all leave me some comments. Tell me, does that kind of bother you all, or are you all really good with that? Because it kind of shifts me in the way I feel about reality. I watch with a different eye. It's not, I never believed everything that I see on there. I'm not crazy. I know about television production. I know about putting these things together. If reality TV was really reality TV, it wouldn't need producers and directors. You just turn a goddamn camera on and watch people act the fool. Hell, go to a family reunion, baby. You get all the footage you need. Go to a wedding. Go to a funeral. You get all the footage that you need on black folks acting badly, honey. Okay? And white folks too. So, but it just takes something away. Again, when you look behind the curtain, it just takes something away. It does. It's like doing it in the dark versus doing it with the lights on. Baby, you can see everything. And sometimes you feel differently about what you saw. Sometimes in the dark, you had a better time. That's all. I don't know. Anyway, leave me a comment. Tell me how you feel. But I'm getting that with Heavenly. Heavenly, you sat here when I said the whole bad friend thing. You basically sat here and said, like, you invited Sweet Tea in? And you said, yeah. And Sweet Tea's like, she's the one that basically brought me into doing this whole thing. The group of ladies, the television show, all that. And you invited her into the group. Yet you don't support her union, but you didn't lead out with that. Let's say, I don't really support your union. But once y'all got into this whole thing, then it's this whole thing about how you don't support the fact that she's with Gregory and Gregory is so much older than her and this, that, thing, and the other. With those types of issues, how could you ever actually become friends with her when most of what she's about, you don't even stand for? That gives very much fake, fraudulent, phony tea. And you moved on her with purpose. You moved on her with an agenda. That was your agenda. So that just kind of, I'm like, boy, anybody trying to make a friend with Heavenly is crazy. So this is kind of how you're coming off. And it was just, we watched you. That whole scene of the thing about he's so controlling. When you go back, you watch that scene. I saw it in the beginning when it first aired. You were sitting there having dinner with her, and you were pumping her for information. Your whole interaction with her, you're pumping her for information. You're hanging on every word to spin a narrative on her to go along with how you already didn't approve of her from the door. I was like, wow. You were literally listening to her and looking at her with intent when y'all were at that table. You were literally walking her and pumping her for information. And I'm sitting there like, Sweet Tea, I understand every bitch that you call Heavenly. Every bitch that you call her. And why Heavenly is so on Sweet Tea like that, like you were nasty to her. And this portion, this part two, Heavenly's interaction with Sweet Tea was so nasty. She called her a boatload of bitches. When Sweet Tea wasn't talking hard leg to Heavenly like that. Now, I don't know how much got spliced down and all that, but Heavenly came across very aggressive towards Sweet Tea. She called her a bitch quite a few times, and Sweet Tea had cursed back, had cursed at her or nothing. I was like, wow, this kept talking. You trying me, and I don't know what you're trying to get at me, but you're going to get, like, girl, you were very aggressive to her. I was like, wow. And I wonder, did you ever like her, Heavenly? That's just a question I'm asking for a friend. Did you ever like her? Or were you doing your Carlos King thing? You were producing the show. Because a lot of the times I feel like talking to Heavenly or listening to Heavenly talk about the show feels like you're talking to Bravo, Andy. Like everything is so with purpose and you're not actually doing reality. Well, I mean, your reality is way too real. Like you produce the show. All in your head, you moving the pawns around, and yeah, you doing the Carlos King thing. You moving the people and putting the people where you want them to be. That looks crazy when you're on screen with these people and you come across as the bad guy, because you are the bad guy. You are moving the pieces of the puzzle. You're manipulating people, and you're not being truthful all the time, and you come across very, very bitchy. But I don't know, whatever. That's just what I see. Alicia, Dr. Alicia, they asked her, how was it? How was your first season, being on the show? And that fool sat over there and said, child, was like being in the psych ward during your residency. And I looked at the ladies, I was like, see, that's the thing. Dr. Kimma and Alicia, for me, come across as like they're looking at the ladies like, does anybody else get that? That they're kind of looking at the ladies like, look at them, honey. Look at them. And I saw sort of eyes and some of the eye rolls, like, did she just say that? How dare her? Very interesting. Toya and this little, the same old with Toya. Toya's not really given anything this part of this, like part two of this. She wasn't giving anything really. It's the same old, same old. Her and Eugene, and her storyline has been stale for like the last 3 seasons for the most part, other than Quad accusing them of breaking, dealing with somebody breaking in the house and all of that. That got a little spicy. Her and Anila. Is it Anila? Anila? Yeah, her. The chick that ain't there no more. It got a little spicy right around there, but for the most part, Toya and Eugene's storyline has gotten a bit dry. They're a little boring. And they talk about Toya's open sexual talk and does it bother her boys or not. And she said, one of them is real free spirited and the other one's kind of more laid back. And Quad was saying how the one, he's like fresh and when he was younger and she had picked him up and he unzipped her jacket. I'm like, okay. Yeah, okay. Eugene and Toya, we just do Eugene and Toya just because we're used to them. We're used to Grimace and the Fry Guy, so they're just there. But really, what are they bringing to the show for real? Neither one of them aren't really bringing anything too much to the show lately, if you're being really honest. I don't want them to go anywhere, but in my humble opinion, Grimace and the Fry Guy haven't brought anything to the show in quite some time. Heavenly, I was like, okay. When they asked Heavenly about her and her sister's relationship, and there was some nasty exchange over there on the YouTube and the Instagram and the Twitter where Heavenly said something about go to hell, and Sweet Tea fired back at her nasty and told her something about her mother. And Heavenly's sister seen it and contacted her, so that kind of got them talking. And she was saying, I want to thank Sweet Tea for that. You brought me and my sister back together. I was like, okay. So I think that was supposed to make Sweet Tea feel bad. She didn't eat it. She kind of was like, oh, look at that. Me cussing you out, bringing families together. I was waiting on Sweet Tea to do that. Oh my God, I feel so bad. She was like, no, that's my kind of thing, because I would say some old off the wall shit and I wouldn't eat it. I don't eat it. Girl, listen, I'll tell you, before I take it back, I'll add more to it. So that's what Sweet Tea gave in that space. And I actually see why she does it with Heavenly. I definitely understand that approach, because Heavenly's a little rough with her. So they bring the men on. And here's when the whole thing of bringing the men in was kind of boring. Now, I did see when Dr. Damon checked Dr. G. He was like, are you saying that you think I cheat? And he's like pussyfooting around it. And he was like, no, it's going to be a yes or it's going to be a no. And he was like, well, no. Okay, don't be playing TV games with me. That's how Damon is. Don't play TV games with me. And again, we're seeing the whole thing with Dr. Kemma. Again, the two of them, him and Alicia, I got nothing out of them. They didn't need to even be here. His whole thing about Jamaican culture and oral sex being taboo, I really don't care. Like, I really don't care. Like, that was a one-time thing. They could have done that on one episode. Their whole storyline could have been handled on one episode with them in as friends of the show at a party, and we never had to see them again. And that would be the takeaway, because that's all the takeaway is that he is of Jamaican descent, or no, he's of Nigerian descent, I think. And he is controlling. His culture is more stern, and she is, literally, they're not 50-50 partnership or whatever. That's their storyline. I don't care. There was nothing for me to watch. I don't care. I really don't. I don't care. I don't care. Talk about he trains her. Okay, whatever. That's on them. Don't care. Anyway, but back to Gregory. Gregory and this whole thing of sitting there and just disrespectful. And again, he don't even realize that he's being disrespectful because he's a little narcissistic. So he don't really know he's being disrespectful, really. Because he got the little bride that came after him. So she just accepts whatever it is. Anytime you accept another woman's old shoes and her old job and her old man and her old house, you go for anything. He sat there and basically said, yeah, me and Phaedra are friends, but I really wanted more, and he's like, not in real life. Did y'all ever do anything? Not in real life, which means he wanted to get down with Phaedra, but she wasn't allowing him to do it. And then he brought the whole thing up of that I didn't have 4 stacks, but I mean, if I had them, who knows? So he literally admits that he could not afford to woo Phaedra, so he settled for being her friend. And you sitting over there looking like an idiot. And he over here don't even realize he disrespected you. Just ridiculous. And anytime they bring up Claudia, well, I don't know. I don't really need to see her. That made you want to see her. And you don't know how you're going to handle yourself when you see her. You just look crazy. And it just comes across as so disrespectful to your new piece. Very interesting. Anyway, but this is all that went down with the second part. Y'all know the second part is there's always one part of a 3-part reunion that is not so great. This is the filler. And I'm cool with that. I really am cool with that because it's terrible when there's 3 parts and the third part is the dud. That just like pisses you off. So I think we're going to kick back into high gear and get into some things on the last part. But it wasn't boring. It wasn't boring. It was just, this was there's always one piece that's not so great. And this was that piece. So anyway, I will catch you all next week for part 3. And we'll wrap this up and we'll see them in a year or so. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.